So right now, without further ado, we also wanted to take the time to address some news that has hit mainstream, but for a lot of us is way too familiar on a regular basis. Talking about that of Meek Mill, talking about the opinions that's going back and forth about whether or not his current sentencing was too harsh of a punishment. Now, on one side, you have those who are saying he has a history, and that that history has played a part into this, and that he seems to have this disrespect for the law. On other side of that coin, you have the people saying that he is being made an example of. He is a prominent black man, and he is being sentenced too much and unfairly, based on it not being violent crimes and things like that. So you have both sides of the coin here. So without further ado, wanted to bring in a special guest, my man, Mr. Frank Williams. How you doing, sir?
Man, all praise be due to God. Man.
That's right. That's right.
I feel blessed to be here.
Thanks for coming, my brother. So we have you in, and I'm gonna hand the mic over to Razor as well, because he has some very strong points he wants to make as well. This hits close home to him as well. So Frank, just to introduce you, you are a young man who, as of last year, just came home after 16 years incarcerated. Yes. Right. And if I understand it correctly, it was a pretty petty crime. Not violent. If you don't mind me saying, breaking and entering, things like that.
Well, it was a robbery.
Robbery, thing like that. No one was hurt, but 16 years for a young man who had just entered adulthood, correct?
Actually, 31 years.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, and I'm gonna let you break that down. I just want to give you an introduction.
I did 18 and a half years.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna let you dig further into that. But I'm also gonna pass it over to Razor right now to further this conversation.
18 and a half years. That's a hefty crime that's a hefty amount of time for any crime. All right. So let's paint the picture for everybody. How old were you at the time?
I was 18, going on 19 at the time, young, came from a poor background, raised around criminals.
Okay.
Been through a lot of things, came to VA, Virginia from DC, with an opportunity to change my life, but you can't change the mind frame, of a black man that's going through certain situations, and it was a struggle for me. I was doing good on one end, but my mind frame was allowing me to make the same mistakes.
Understood. Now, 30 years is what you said they gave you.
Yeah.
All right. And out of that 30, you did 18 and a half. In that 18 and a half, what type of rehabilitation did they offer you?
They don't offer you rehabilitation per se. You got to go get it yourself. Instead of giving you incentives, they gave me that time. I feel like you should have gave me incentives to want to learn something. You know what I mean?
Right.
To want to get that time off my back and come out and be productive.
Or to really help introduce you back into society.
True fact.
Got you. Now, let's not harbor on your time that much. Now, you get released.
Yeah.
The people that, your family, friends, what's the first thing they did for you?
What everybody else do. Money, clothes, whatever. But that wasn't enough.
Right.
To this day, it's not enough. I need, support. I really need support, you know what I mean? Because going through a situation like that, you come out a changed person.
Yeah, absolutely. You cannot go in there and come out the same.
I deal with mental health. I got PTSD. I feel like a Vietnam vet.
Absolutely.
I'm scared at times.
Yep.
Like, I don't know what's going on around me.
That's right.
This a whole new world to me. You know what I mean? From where I came from,
Yeah, you figure some children were born and became adults before you got released.
Exactly.
To give people an indication of that as to how much time you did behind bars. All right, now, family, this hits very close home to me. Me, myself, I had altercations back when I was younger. Did nowhere near what you did. the hardest thing that people need to understand is once people become incarcerated, what do you do for them? You know, sending money to them on their books so they can eat. That's essential. But why not send books? Why not send things that, you know, because when you're in there, you're going to read. And a lot of the literature that they give you does not promote a healthy mindset. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people try to call home every 5 minutes and run people's bills up to the point that they can't even pay for it. But nobody really takes and gives the person the avenues to when they get out so they can be productive. Send books, send literature, send them something to study, because the system doesn't allow you to take college courses like they used to. They don't give you trades inside there so that you can come out and be a productive person in society anymore. So people, there are things that you can do to help people that you know that are incarcerated, that when they come home, don't go buy them Jordan's outfit, take them out to the club, get them drunk to have them around some women. That's something famous that we do in the African American community. Take that same money and get them a bank account.
Exactly.
You know, teach them before they get out what a checking account is. Send things home. Look, I'm gonna give you $500. You're gonna spend this amount. Tell me how much. You know, how you gonna budget this the last 30 days.
Yeah.
Have them mail that back to you instead of women. The jailhouse love stories. When I get out, baby, I'm gonna open the church, close the church. I'm gonna help you raise your kids. You know what I'm saying? All that. Just
fantasy.
If you love that man, stop him right there and say, nope, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna help you become a productive person. You're going to need to not have your mind locked up.
So, Frank, how hard has it been for you to find employment?
I mean, really, it hasn't been hard to find employment per se, but it's been hard to adapt. You know, because I've been in an environment where I had to basically be internal, you know, because everybody around you is a lot of people looking to take advantage of you. So It's hard for me to be in crowds. It's hard for me to, you know, interact with people at certain times, you know. But as far as, you know, it's just hard, man. You know,
So
you need support.
So let me ask that a little differently. Like when you come out and just being a man, speak from that perspective as far as maybe not hard to find employment, but what about the steps that you've had to take for the employment that's going to be sustainable, like the career path that you want to get into? Like what, you know, have you received help for trying to get into employment that's actually a career you want to stay in, things of that sort?
No, you know. Because the people around me don't have careers.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in a hood per se.
Yeah, that's what it's saying.
Everything around me is negative. So how can I prosper in an environment that's not built for prosperity?
Well, let me tell you, brother, the way, I'm not saying this is the only way.
Yeah.
But one way that you can do that is to read. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Read. Keep a journal of your thoughts. Set goals for yourself. Figure out what it is that you want to do. Then surround yourself with the people of who you want to be like.
Yeah.
Hey, can I say something?
Absolutely, brother. We one family.
Well, first of all, I want to tell them welcome home. Even though I don't even know you, you're a brother, so welcome home.
Thank you, brother.
There's a million other, as we all know, there's a million other young boys and young girls that are incarcerated now. And the main thing is to hold your head. A couple things that I'd like to, for the audience to that you said that I want to point out is the first thing is that he stated clearly, and this is somebody that was incarcerated, and I want people to really put this in your brains in layman's terms. The system that we live in has no intention of making you a productive black person.
Not at all.
Let me say that one more time. The system that we live in, if you are incarcerated, has no intention of trying to help you become a constructive or a productive black person. That's something you really need to remember, because then you can change your behavior. Like he said, you're not looking for them to do anything else. You're going to the law library yourself. You're doing your reading yourself, because this is not to be rehabilitated.
Or even just your career. Where if you decide you want to get into HVAC, electrician. You know, these are things that people can't hold you back.
Right.
No.
That's in my humble opinion, that's the reason that they took away trades.
Right. The other
in these
thing,
schools.
Yeah, the other thing, and that's true fact. The other thing I want to, that he mentioned that is so important. How many times have I mentioned on this show in previous broadcasts the importance of black mental health, and how often we do not talk about it, but then we have he's not the only one. We have young boys coming home from, I don't care if you did 3 weeks, 30 days, 30 years. You come home as a different person because you're treated as an animal. How are you supposed to survive in society? You know, this is why we talk about starting different programs so we can have mental health facilities for individuals that are incarcerated, individuals that are on the road to being incarcerated. You know, sometimes just giving somebody some sort of work program and things of that nature. These people have lives.
Yeah.
They have mental things that they want to talk about. We don't know, you know, there's a Beanie Siegel song, and I'm sure this brother knows it. It's called What's Your Life Like?
Yeah.
And when Siegel talks in that song, it literally, he talks specifically about how mentally you don't even understand who you are anymore.
Yeah.
You have no idea what your life is.
Yeah.
And how many of these young boys and young girls and older people that are sitting incarcerated now don't have an outlet to really talk to a mental health professional that, quite frankly, is also going to understand their story, that even believes that they can be rehabilitated in general. You know?
Yeah.
So there's so many different things, but that mental health aspect, I really appreciate you, brother, sharing that information, because so many people forget about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, and Frank, something that you shared with me, I want to go back to the last thing I said so you can elaborate it on a little bit. Because something you shared with me was that you were like almost uber focused to where when you came home, you hit the ground running.
Yeah.
And you feel like that was almost too fast, right?
Oh,
right?
it was
so,
too fast.
Yeah. So now I want you to elaborate on that, to shed some light on that, because my previous question was more about when you think that you have things in line, but the world being so different when you come out as it was compared to when you went in. And so those resources and those things that you were trying to do, like just share your experiences on the hurdles there, on what helped and what didn't.
I mean, the biggest hurdle, right, is mental health for real. Because, you know, I got the knowledge to do.
Mindset is everything.
Yeah, whatever I want to do. You know what I mean? But it's like, am I sure this gonna work? You know?
Yeah.
It's like, it's a whole different world. I'm planning on what I was living before I went
Absolutely. People need to understand,
You did?
whatever age you were when you went in, that's the age you come out.
in. Yeah, and I deal
you know
with
what I'm saying?
maturity
That's where your
issues at
mind.
times.
That's where
Yeah.
your mindset is. People don't really understand that.
It's a conflict. You know, I'm living, I'm talking to myself, I'm at war with myself at all times. Because the easiest thing to do is become the old me, because I know the old me. The new me, who I'm trying to shape myself to be, is the hard part.
Yeah, and also, unfortunately, because you're surrounded by a group of your peers, their stories become your stories. You hear them so much, it's hard to tell where their life ended and yours began after so many 18 and a half years.
18 and a half years.
Yep, you probably know some of the people that slept next to you, everything about them.
True fact.
You know what I'm saying? So it's hard not to bring that home with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I care.
Well, I tell you what, when we end, I'm gonna give you my information. Anything that you need, any questions that you have, pick up the phone.
Okay.
And I extend that to every single person in Charlottesville. If you know somebody just came home and they have avenues that they want to go, businesses they want to get into, now that number also goes out to the people that can also help. You know what I'm saying? I just don't want to have a bunch of people call me and I can't do nothing for them. Because the people that really want to see these black men succeed, these black men not be victims of the system, that have the power to do something, let's do it.
Now let me elaborate on that one right there. So Charlottesville likes to tout itself as a world-class city and having so many resources. So when we mention that mental health piece, do you gentlemen feel like that in a place like Charlottesville, I know it's different in other counties, but Charlottesville, do we feel like that the resources are here, but the mental health piece needs to come first before we can know how to deal with those resources? Or do we feel like Charlottesville is lacking in the resource?
I'm not in the community, but I can tell you from just a broad world perspective, I think there are mental health facilities that are available. The question is that, do these mental health facilities talk to the African or the black experience? That's the question. Because if you come home, you know, you're talking to someone that doesn't look like you, that doesn't understand you. They have no idea where you're coming from or what you've experienced, what your life is as a young boy that's out on these streets. I don't care if you're in the hood or not. It's different being an African-American male and female in this particular society.
We talk about it with the children and their teachers.
Absolutely.
So you know it has to be a problem with an adult, you know what I'm saying, who has went through this horrific situation. Because like we said before, these places are not for rehabilitating you. They're warehouses.
Nah.
for bodies that they make money off of, and then they throw you back out there, and they wait for you to make another mistake so they can make more money off you.
True
That's the
fact.
reality of the situation.
Yeah.
So, like Charles said, Charlesville, if y'all know y'all can help, reach out to the station. Max, what's the number?
434-422-9101.
In my humble opinion, will be a hub for all this. We will connect the right people in the right places.
Can I ask?
So I'm about to be devil's advocate for real. So an individual doesn't mean I agree with it, but just for the sake of asking the question, a person commits a crime and they're incarcerated as a consequence of the crime. Is the system responsible for then rehabilitating that person?
Only if they care about their society.
True fact.
Okay.
Yeah, Max, I actually understand where you're coming from. I guess it's also how you model yourself. How does that institution model itself? Are we saying that we're going to institutionalize these people? Or are we saying that, look, you locked up, you do your time, you figure it out? The problem, and
That's
I think,
not the truth.
Right.
I got to interject, because if that was the truth, once you do your time, you would receive all your rights and everything back.
No, and I understand that, but I guess it's like what Max is. Her question is like, what is the intention of the system? If the system is intended to institutionalize and to maybe it's to institutionalize you, that's one. But is our intention to rehabilitate you, which is what sometimes that's what they promote. But then we have gentlemen like this person and millions of others that are coming out not being rehabilitated.
No, it's a trap.
Right,
That's what they
exactly.
do. They want to get you in the trap. Now, once they get you into the trap and put that felony on your back, they know that they've already put you in a disenfranchised situation. You got that glass ceiling over top of you. And that's why I push entrepreneurship, trades, because they can't hold you back at that point. They can't tell you how much concrete to lay down. They can't tell you how many wires to pull. They can't tell you how many cars to wash.
If I could ask a question for our guest before he gets out of here. This is a black station that people are listening to now. You've got some young boys and some young girls that are riding, sitting at home listening, man, and let's just be frank, they're about to make a bad decision.
True fact.
What advice? I mean, you did 18 years, you come home, you're a new man. What, they're about to make a bad decision, and truth be told, as you know, it only takes 30 seconds to change your life. It only takes 10 or 15 seconds to go one way, you're going right, one way left. What advice, or what is something that you can share out there for those young people, or even some of these adults that are literally on the verge of making a really bad decision that can change their whole lives for a very long time?
I mean, the one thing I want to say, man, treat your life the way it should be treated, man. You only get one. These people is not playing fair. They went outside my guidelines by 20 years because I was a young black man, labeled as a menace to society. And I'm a kind-hearted, good person who grew up in a circumstance that I had to do what I had to do. They took my life. They gave me a life sentence. I did a life sentence, man. I'm living a whole nother life.
Yeah.
It's not worth it, Holmes.
Right.
My man.
Yeah. Well, Brother Frank, thanks for your time coming up here, man.
Always.
And as you know, IMHO resources are here for you, and I know that you want to be a support for that young man, like Aaron was just asking, that young sister that's coming up in that same path. So yeah, if y'all want more information, want to help this brother out, or even want him to shed some light to a young person that you may know, or grown folk may be going through the same thing, hit us up, IMHO 101 Jams, on their social media.